expect the moment my mother pointed her fork across the dinner table, I knew another family argument was about to begin. Your children don't deserve that vacation, she declared, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Not after refusing to share a room with Jennifer's kids. The room fell silent. Every pair of eyes shifted toward me, waiting for my reaction. I looked down at my plate, suddenly losing my appetite. The roast dinner I'd barely touched now felt impossible to eat. Beside me, my daughter Emma quietly lowered her head. She was 11 years old and had spent weeks talking about our upcoming beach vacation. On my other side, 9-year-old Jake poked at his vegetables with his fork, saying nothing. Only minutes earlier, they had been smiling. Now they looked as though someone had taken all the excitement out of them. They just wanted their own room this time, I answered calmly. For the last 5 years, they've shared every vacation with cousins. Jennifer let out a dramatic laugh. That's what families do, my sister replied. My kids were excited to spend time with their cousins, but apparently your children think they're too important now. Dad slowly placed his glass on the table. Their selfish attitude shouldn't be rewarded, he said. Maybe it's time to cancel this vacation and teach them what family really means. Emma stared at her lap. Jake didn't even look up. My heart ached because I knew exactly how they felt. They're children, I said quietly. They're spoiled children, Jennifer corrected. Mine never complained about sleeping on air mattresses or sharing crowded rooms. They learned sacrifice. Mom nodded immediately. Exactly. You're raising entitled kids. Cancel the trip and spend the money on something useful. The familiar pressure settled on my shoulders. It wasn't really about a vacation. It never was. In this family, every decision I made somehow needed everyone's approval. I'll think about it, I finally said. Mom frowned. No, don't think about it. Do the right thing. Dinner ended shortly afterward. The drive home was painfully quiet. Emma rested her head against the car window. Jake watched the passing streetlights without saying a word. Neither of them asked if we were still going to the beach. They already knew what years of family criticism had taught me. Hope often disappeared after family dinners. That night, after both kids were asleep, I opened my laptop. The confirmation for our beach house appeared on the screen. 2 weeks, private rental, paid in full. I had worked 18 months to afford it. Extra freelance projects, late nights, weekend clients, skipped luxuries, every dollar carefully saved. My finger moved toward the cancellation button. Then my eyes landed on an old photograph pinned beside my desk. I was about Emma's age. In the picture, every bed had been given to visiting cousins while I slept on a thin mattress in the corner. I remembered pretending it didn't bother me. Remembered hearing adults praise me for being so understanding. Remembered believing that my comfort always mattered less than everyone else's. I stared at that picture for several minutes. Then I closed the beach house reservation. Not because I had canceled it, because I had made a different decision. I opened another website, then another. Hours passed while I compared flights, hotels, reward points, and travel packages. By 2 o'clock in the morning, I smiled for the first time all day. 3 days later, I sent one short message to the family group chat. Beach house canceled. You were right. Mom replied almost instantly. I'm proud of you. That's the responsible decision. Jennifer added another message. Your kids will thank you one day. I didn't answer. There was nothing left to explain, because while everyone believed I'd given up our vacation, I had quietly planned something none of them would ever expect. A week later, I picked Emma and Jake up from school with the 2 suitcases already waiting in the trunk. Emma noticed them first. Mom, why are our bags in the car? I smiled. Because we're leaving today. Jake looked confused. I thought the vacation was canceled. I canceled one vacation, I replied. Not all of them. Neither child spoke for a moment. They exchanged uncertain glances, as if they were afraid this was some kind of joke. Finally, Emma asked the question that had been weighing on her mind. Grandma said we weren't going anywhere. I started the engine. Grandma doesn't get to decide how I raise my children. The silence inside the car instantly changed. Jake's face lit up. So, we're really going somewhere? We are. Where? That's a surprise. The rest of the drive was filled with guesses. The mountains? A theme park? Disney? I laughed every time they guessed. Nope. When we pulled into the airport parking garage, both children froze. Emma stared at the huge terminal building. We're flying. We are. Their excitement grew with every step. Checking our luggage, walking through security, Watching airplanes taxi outside the giant windows, even buying snacks before boarding felt like part of an adventure. I kept our destination secret. Only after we reached our gate did Emma finally notice the departure screen. She read it once, then again. Her eyes grew wider. Mom! Her voice barely came out. It says Maldives. Jake rushed over to read the screen himself. The Maldives? He whispered. The islands with the clear blue water? I nodded. That's where we're going. Neither of them spoke. Emma suddenly wrapped her arms around me. Jake simply stood there, smiling so hard his cheeks turned red. I thought only rich celebrities went there, he said. So did I, Emma admitted. I laughed. Turns out careful planning, airline miles, and years of saving can do amazing things. The flight was long, but neither child complained once. Jake spent hours looking out the window, fascinated by the endless ocean beneath us. Emma watched movies, read a book, and occasionally leaned over just to ask, "Is this real?" When we finally landed, warm tropical air greeted us the moment we stepped outside. A smiling resort representative welcomed us with cold towels and fresh fruit drinks before leading us to a speedboat waiting at the dock. As the boat skimmed across crystal clear water, Jake leaned over the side. I can actually see fish. The water looked unreal. Bright shades of turquoise stretched in every direction. Tiny islands covered with palm trees appeared like postcards floating on the horizon. Even I had to remind myself this wasn't a dream. Half an hour later, the boat slowed beside a line of beautiful overwater villas. Our guide smiled. "Welcome to your home," Emma gasped. "You mean that's ours?" "It is." A wooden walkway led us across the lagoon until we reached our villa. The moment the door opened, both children stopped walking. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked endless blue water. Sunlight reflected across polished wooden floors. Outside, a private deck stretched over the ocean with steps leading directly into the sea. Jake walked toward the glass panel built into the living room floor. Fish swam beneath his feet. He looked up at me with complete disbelief. "They're under the house." Emma quietly wandered toward her bedroom. A few seconds later, I heard nothing. I walked down the hallway to check on her. She stood beside the balcony doors, staring out at the ocean. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. My heart skipped. "Emma?" She quickly wiped her face. "I'm okay." "What happened?" She shook her head. "I've just never seen anything this beautiful before." I hugged her tightly. "You deserve beautiful memories." She held on to me for a long moment before whispering, "I thought you canceled everything because of us." "I didn't cancel because of you. I changed plans because of you." That evening, Jake discovered another surprise waiting in his room. A telescope. The resort staff had placed it there after I requested it during booking. His face lit up. "You remembered." Of course I did. After dinner, the three of us sat outside beneath a sky overflowing with stars. Jake excitedly pointed toward different constellations while colorful fish swam beneath our deck lights. Emma leaned back in her chair, listening to the waves. Nobody checked a phone, nobody argued, nobody criticized anyone. For the first time in years, it felt like we could simply bread a pinot that the days that followed felt almost unreal. Every morning, Emma was the first one awake. She would step onto the deck just before sunrise, watching the sky slowly change from soft purple to brilliant shades of orange and gold. Jake had his own routine. He grabbed the telescope before breakfast, searching for birds flying over the lagoon or tiny fish darting through the crystal clear water beneath our villa. For the first time in a long while, I wasn't thinking about deadlines, family expectations, or endless criticism. I was simply their mom. We spent our days snorkeling above colorful coral reefs, kayaking through calm turquoise lagoons, and collecting shells along quiet stretches of white sand. Emma surprised herself by learning to paddleboard. Jake became fascinated with the resort's marine conservation program, asking dozens of questions about sea turtles, reef sharks, and tropical fish. Every evening we watched the sunset together without rushing anywhere. No arguments, no guilt, no pressure to make everyone else happy, just peace. Before leaving home, I had promised myself one thing. I wouldn't spend the entire vacation staring at my phone. So I kept it tucked away most of the time. Still, one evening, I snapped a single photograph. Emma and Jake stood hand in hand at the end of our villa's deck as the sun disappeared into the horizon, turning the sky shades of pink, orange, and deep crimson. It was the only picture I uploaded. The caption was short. Sometimes the best decision is the one nobody expects. Then I slipped my phone back into my bag. Within minutes, it began vibrating nonstop. When I finally checked it later that night, dozens of notifications filled the screen. Jennifer's message appeared first. You lied to all of us. Mom followed immediately. I thought you canceled the vacation. Dad added another. How could you possibly afford something like this? I stared at the messages for a moment. Then I locked my phone again. The ocean outside my villa deserved my attention far more than another family argument. Over the next several days, the messages multiplied. Jennifer had apparently searched online for the cost of overwater villas. Her texts became increasingly emotional. Do you realize how expensive those places are? That money should have gone toward your children's future. You're teaching them luxury instead of responsibility. Mom tried organizing a family video call. I declined. She left a voicemail instead. Amanda, this has gone too far. We need to talk about your financial decisions. I deleted the message without replying. Not every criticism deserved an answer. Then something completely unexpected happened. On the fifth morning, while Emma practiced paddleboarding and Jake attended a children's marine biology activity, my phone rang from an unfamiliar number. Hello? Is this Amanda? Yes. My name is Patricia. I'm an editor with Luxury Travel Magazine. For a second, I thought someone was playing a prank. We recently came across your vacation photo online, she continued. It has been shared thousands of times. Your caption really connected with parents. We'd love to interview you about creating meaningful travel experiences as a single parent. I blinked in disbelief. I think you've called the wrong person. She laughed softly. Actually, I don't think we have. We're not interested in expensive lifestyles. We're interested in the story behind your decision. After thanking her, I promised to think about it. Even after hanging up, I sat there staring at the ocean. How had one simple photograph attracted so much attention? Apparently, many parents understood exactly what that caption meant. Later that afternoon, another surprise arrived. The resort manager personally knocked on our villa door. Miss Amanda, he said warmly, our staff has noticed how respectful and appreciative your family has been throughout your stay. I smiled. Thank you. We've loved every minute. We'd like to upgrade your reservation for the remainder of your vacation. I blinked. I'm sorry. Upgrade? He nodded. To one of our premium villas. There's really no need. It's our pleasure. Your children have brought smiles to everyone they've met. They remind us what travel is truly about. When we entered the upgraded villa, even I was speechless. A private infinity pool overlooked the lagoon. The deck was nearly twice the size. There was a hammock suspended above the water and an outdoor dining area where breakfast could be served each morning. Jake slowly turned in circles. Mom, are we dreaming? Emma laughed. If this is a dream, don't wake me up. That evening, as we floated together in the private pool, watching stars appear overhead, I realized something important. For years, I had been trying to earn my family's approval. But watching my children's genuine happiness made one thing perfectly clear. Their smiles were worth far more than anyone else's opinion.